Sony's own Drive Club delayed, Need for Speed Rivals gets the distinction of being the first driving game on the PlayStation 4. Coming from Ghost Games, a new studio that includes some former Criterion staff, Rivals blends together the gameplay styles of 2010's Hot Pursuit and last year's Most Wanted. There's a heavy emphasis on weapons like EMPs and spike strips as cops battle against racers, and players freely explore an open world in search of jumps and speed cameras. Set in fictional Redview County, Rivals differs from other games by focusing on natural landscapes like deserts, forests, and snowy mountains, rather than urban sprawl and hopping across rooftops. The scenery is nice, but the real distinction in Rivals is that there's no divide between single-player and multiplayer. Unless you're offline, you'll always be sharing the world with up to 5 other players. There's enough open road that you can do your own thing, but sooner or later you're going to cross paths with someone else, and bonuses granted when you're near each other net you greater rewards. If you want to challenge someone to a quick head-to-head race or track down a high-value bust, you can set GPS routes to target particular individuals. Plus, other players can boost or repair your car from the companion app, and you'll mix it up with plenty of AI drivers speeding and patrolling around every corner. Even though the game promotes interaction, it can be difficult to get together larger groups for an event. While all you have to do is drive up to the starting line together, random players are generally scattered across the map with their own goals in mind, so you'll likely only be racing with groups of 3 to 6 when playing with people you know. The career in Rivals is split into 2 paths, allowing you to switch between playing as a cop and racer at will. Instead of proceeding through a specific set of races, each tier of your progression is reached by picking from 3 sets of goals known as speed lists and checking off the challenges. Your checklists generally consist of ranking in various events, using weapons, smashing cars, or performing various feats of skillful driving. Races and other challenges are scattered throughout the map, waiting for you to discover them. You can try any one you like, so long as you meet the minimum rank.
They say Stockholm Syndrome is when victims begin to identify with their captors. When you begin to accept and even love the very people who oppress and abuse you. We are born free, resisting authority, daring to climb, to run, to defy the status quo. But then one day, we break.
The way Rivals handles score ensures that cops and racers play their respective roles. Everything from executing minor drifts and jumps to completing events earns you points, which you can use to buy cars, weapons, and upgrades. If you're a racer, you're constantly at risk, because if you get busted before you can return to your hideout to bank your score, the cop that nabs you will drive away with your points. However, racers also have a multiplier that increases the longer you stay on the road, forcing you to balance risk with reward as you try to decide whether you should play it safe or stick it out for one more race. It can feel devastating to get busted several times in a row as a racer, and conversely, as a cop, it can feel fantastic to hunt down a victim and cash in on their big score. Handling mechanics vary per vehicle, but driving in Rivals isn't all that technical. It's largely about learning to manage drifts to get through turns just right and not blasting yourself into an obstacle with nitrous. There are certainly moments when you'll have to slow down to negotiate a turn, but you'll spend more of your adrenaline dodging traffic and attacking opponents. Events generally feel quite lengthy, and at times you get so beat up you'll be unable to continue the race. With this in mind, it pays to keep an eye out for roadside repair stations to fix your car and restock ammo. It's a frantic fray of action towards the finish line, but sometimes AI racers have a Mario Kart-like tendency to jump ahead of you in the final seconds. The county map isn't enormous, but it's fairly broad and diverse. Even after you think you've seen it all, it continues to surprise you with new discoveries as you bust through fences, roadblocks, and apartments to find more side routes and jumps. Tons of speed cameras and jumps let you compete against friends, although we found some ramps to be a bit buggy, failing to register our distance even after multiple attempts. It also pays to do most of your exploration as a cop, since racers are constantly hounded by AI police. The fuzz can show up at any time, even when you're parked, to set a route on your map. Likewise, even though we managed to hide in a barn once, getting away from a pursuit without getting back to a hideout can be troublesome, as patrol units tend to zero in on you, even if you don't see any cars on your minimap. Customization options do return in Rivals, but they're fairly basic, letting you choose pre-placed decals and upgrade a car's durability and top speed. However, the flow of new cars is so fast that it doesn't feel worthwhile to really invest in them until later in your career. It's something at least, but it's clear these elements weren't a priority. Graphically, Rivals does a fair job of providing some next-gen visual flourish with nice lighting, clouds of dust, and wide vistas. While some effects do look nice, their application can be a bit silly at times, as water flows down your windows even in sunny weather, and the air is constantly littered with debris. The performance isn't always the best either, as glitchy resets after wrecks can leave you disoriented, and funky rendering hitches make the world feel a bit unstable.
We are the enemy of freedom. I will run. We are the shadow you can't shake. I will never stop. We will hunt you. You will never catch me. You will not stop. You will make me famous. You will fail. You will break. You are my and you are our target. You are my rival.
Despite some rough edges and aggravations, Need for Speed Rivals is still a fun and exciting ride. Hunting down your prey as the police or getting to your hideout in the nick of time is exhilarating, and constantly sharing a social sphere with other players feels like a natural step forward for a series intent on putting players on opposing sides of the law.